All right, I thought I'd do just a little bit of a life help update for you guys. My heart attack, all that stuff's going well. Been doing cardio rehab 3 days a week and really enjoying that. Have had a few setbacks along the way. 2 weeks after the heart attack, I ended up back in the hospital with some swelling around the heart, pericarditis. Got me on some meds for that. 2 weeks after that, my wife and I were stopped at a complete standstill waiting for a car in front of us to turn left, and the car behind us plows into us at about 40 or 50 miles an hour. And so ended up with some bruising around that, kind of aggravated my pericarditis. So here 2 weeks later, we're finally feeling much better. I've missed just about every Hamfest this spring because of this heart stuff. Last weekend was Raleigh. I just wasn't quite up for it yet. This weekend's Morganton. My daughter's getting married. Hope my wife's not getting married again. But my daughter's getting married, so I'll miss that one. The following weekend, I got a conflict with an audio show. I might try to pull off both Spartanburg Hamfest and the audio show. Not yet sure. But yeah, so we're getting back in the swing of things. I've just not had a lot of time for the bench. So I finally found time to crank out that tube tester video yesterday. But hopefully here in a few weeks, life will settle down a little bit and I can get back to some projects and restorations and this preamp design and whatnot. All right, onward to some more fun topics other than me talking about myself. So about 2 weeks ago, I got an email saying, because I'm subscribed to These Stuff Made, got an email saying, hey, he's got a new YouTube video up. I clicked on it. Looks like he's got a new version of the audio analyzer suite available. And this looks like it has the ability to do some testing on preamps and or phono stage. You can kind of see here above the word discovery in red, a new tab that's been added that says preamp phono stage. So, and then he's got a 32-minute video here that kind of talks about it. I'll be honest, I've not had time to watch the video yet, and I've not had time to install the software and play with it. But the fact that we're in the middle of building a preamp right now for a video series for you guys, this might come in handy. So hopefully I'll find some time in a few weeks to get to check this out and try the new software and can provide you a little bit of feedback. But I just thought I'd let you guys know there is a new version out there. So recently in one of the Facebook groups I follow around tube amp building, I saw this guy from overseas. He started posting some pictures here of an amp he was designing. And I was trying to figure out the piece of equipment that he was using. I could see that it was Keysight technology, but I noticed down here it had some type of function generator because it's got a gen out BNC here. And then I finally caught a clear picture that showed me it was this EDUX 1002G digital, and lo and behold, it was an oscilloscope. At first I thought it was some type of high-end audio analyzer. And so I started kind of thinking, I want to research this a little more. So then I saw where it can actually do a frequency response analysis, and he was doing a sweep from, it looks like 0 hertz here up to 100 kilohertz and kind of plotting gain versus frequency. Really kind of got me interested in this device. So then I went out onto Keysight's website and looked up this EDUX 1002G oscilloscope. Looks like it's a 50 megahertz scope, 2 analog channels, and it does have this audio or this frequency output, so it can put out a square wave, a sine wave, a triangle wave. So it's kind of got your built-in audio generator in it, and this price here is $663. That's retail. I got to looking online. Looks like you can score one of these in the 500-ish kind of dollar range, 500 and some. So it really got me rethinking the Rigol DS1054Z as because that's about a $400 scope. This with this built-in functionality, if you can get it in the 500 and some dollar range, you know, if you're getting into the audio repair stuff, this might be a great choice for you. I haven't bought one yet, but this very well may go on my birthday or Christmas list for this year, just to play around with this thing and see how good it is. So stay tuned. If I do that, I'll give you more info on it. But I just thought I'd point it out to you guys. I think it's worth looking into at least. All right, this might be a lengthy story, but hold tight. I think it's worth it. So you guys may remember a couple weeks ago, I made a video on a rare set of Western Electric speakers, okay? Which are really Altec 755As, which are kind of a world-renowned full-range speaker. And they were in the original Western Electric cabinets, which had the original Western Electric line matching transformers and whatnot, okay? This was part of a large Western Electric purchase I made right before I had my heart attack that included a bunch of amplifiers, a bunch of tubes and whatnot. And honestly, these speakers were kind of a throw-in on the deal. And I really didn't have a personal use for the speakers, unlike I kind of collect Western Electric amplifiers and whatnot. So, at any rate, I decided I was going to sell these on eBay. And so I listed them along with a link to my video in the auction with lots of detail about them. Listed them on a Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. By the way, statistics will show that that time is the best time to have, a week later, a high valued item in on an auction. Whatever it is, about 7 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific, you have a more likelihood of people being at home and be willing to bid on your item. I know most people use some type of sniping tool these days, but nonetheless, that's when I listed it. So I kind of watched it. The prices were going up, and up. Me and a buddy of mine, Jeremiah, we were kind of debating on where they thought they might end at. We were kind of contemplating somewhere in the $4,000 to $5,000 range. Neither one of us really anticipated them ending where they did. So a week later, these speakers ended for $7,150, right? So I'm looking at the auction. I'm like, holy cow, that went further than I thought it would. But I kind of understand, because I get that finding a pair of these in their original cabinets is a really tough thing to do. And so then I looked at the winning bidder, and I noticed that this individual had 3 feedback. They had been an eBayer for a long time, but they had 3 feedback. And I'm thinking, oh, that ain't so great, but hopefully they'll pay. So I sent them an updated invoice with shipping information on it, and I waited a day. I heard crickets. I waited 2 days. I heard crickets. Day 3, I reach out to the individual and I said, hey, just checking in to see if you're actually going to pay for these. If not, I'm probably going to relist them. And so they send me back just like 4 or 5 words, just kind of a broken sentence. I cannot pay for item, basically. And I'm sitting here going, what the heck? So then I'm starting to think, well, this is, since it's only 3 feedback, but yet it's been an eBayer for like 7, 8 years. I'm thinking this is somebody's secondary eBay account they've got to either use for shield bidding or to mess with people or whatnot. Then I get to thinking this could be one of my viewers that, because while I've got a lot of viewers that are loyal and love me, I also have some haters out there, as you guys have seen from some of the comments. So I thought, this is just one of my haters kind of playing with me. So I contact eBay and I say, hey, eBay, what do I do? And they're basically like, well, you got to wait a few more days. Then you can file a non-paying bidder claim. And then you wait a few more days and then you can escalate that. And then finally we'll cash out and we'll refund you so you don't have to pay the final value fees on the sale. In the meantime, they said you might want to look into doing a second chance offer. And I thought, I've never done one of those, but you know what? Not a bad idea. So I look into it and I look out there. So you got $7,150 is what the number one bidder bid. The next bidder, his highest bid was like $7,050. And so I sent them a second chance offer. Said, hey, the first place bidder couldn't pay. If you're still interested in them, you got 1 day to respond or whatnot. And the individual accepted my offer and paid for the speakers. So they accepted it at $7,050. I added shipping to it, whatnot. But here's the irony of the whole story, okay? So if whoever bidder number 1 was somebody messing around with me, trying to cause me some pain, right? Well, you look at bidder number 2 here at the $7,050. Bidder number 3, the next highest bidder, their highest bid was $5,000. So If bidder 1 had not existed and bidder 2, even though they bid $7,000, because there was no one above them, they would have came in at right above what the bidder below them paid. So I would have sold these to the second place bidder for $5,050, right? So whoever was bidder number 1, they made me, what, $1,000 basically just by throwing that bid out there and then not paying for them. So I just wanted to say thank you to whoever you are that may help me make another $1,000. And if not, if you were just somebody bidding and just ultimately couldn't pay, then oh well, But I just thought there was some irony in this story. And here's what's interesting. Maybe it's just somebody out there messing with the Western Electric collectors. Because there's a set of Ballantine Western Electric amplifiers, a pair of them up on eBay right now. They were posted a week after mine were posted, okay? And this is an 211 push-pull amplifier made many years ago by Ballantine, licensed by Western Electric. And I knew they were fairly sought after amplifiers. So I had planned to bid about $5,000 myself on them. Well, I watched them. They went up, 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 up. They went to, all of a sudden they passed my 5,000 and I thought, well, I'm out on these. They ended up ending for over $11,000 for this pair of amplifiers. 3 days later, what did I see? They were relisted on eBay again. So I'm guessing a similar scenario happened. Somebody won these things, sent a note saying they couldn't pay, whatever, I don't know. But there's something that caused those to be relisted. So maybe it's just somebody out there messing with the Western Electric guys. But I thought it was an interesting story. I thought there was a little bit of irony and twist in it, and I thought you guys would want to hear it. All right. I may have mentioned a month or two back, we had a little audio meetup here in North Carolina. It was the first ever. And we called the group the Triad Audio Group. And there's another one planned. Eric and Jeremiah have got another one scheduled for May the 4th, 2019. Let me scroll down here for a second so I can see this. It is May the 4th, 9 a.m. at the Forest Hill Fire Department in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. If you're interested in more info on it, you happen to be in the North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia area and want to make the trek, you can go on Facebook and look up Triad Audio Group. If you happen to not be a Facebook member and you wanted to email me, that's fine as well. I could get you the info. But good little Facebook group. People have been posting stuff out there from around the Carolinas. And it's a great place, a great meetup. We're going to have listening stations. So if you want to bring some of your gear to listen to or let others hear, do that. We're also going to have a table or two for kind of swap and trade. So flea market type thing. Feel free to bring some gear out if you want to. But if you got questions, you can come to the Facebook group and post some questions. Just look up Triad Audio Group on Facebook. All right, tech tip for the day. I was out on a Facebook group around building audio amps and whatnot, and I saw something pop up the other day, and I thought, ooh, that's cool. I didn't even know that's something that an individual could buy. I always assumed it was part of a manufacturing process. So it's kind of new to me, and I thought I'm going to order one of those and see how it works out. And I got it in the mail. But before I go there, I'm going to throw a picture up here. And you see two components here, okay? And let's just assume for whatever reason the values are the same. They're both 0.01 microfarad capacitors at 600 volts. So what's the difference between these two capacitors you see here? Well, if you pay close attention, you'll notice one of them up near the component has a little bend in the leads. And this bend is put here intentionally during the manufacturing process so that when you drop the component down into a circuit board through the through holes, then the component stops because of that little bend shape, and it keeps the component spaced off of the board. So if this happened to be a resistor, that produces heat, it would keep it from burning up the board. And if it happened to be a capacitor and you had other traces running underneath of that, it would help any kind of stray capacitance from happening. So, spacing your components off the board is always a good thing. So, at any rate, this is the little device I ended up getting. It was $28 shipped to me. And I was just going to do a little demo. What it does is it'll actually put that little crimp, and all at the same time, it will cut off your component. I didn't squeeze it hard enough. At any rate, you kind of puts the little divot in there, and at the same time it cuts it off to the right level to go through a circuit board, and still have room on the other side to solder it properly. So absolutely in love with this little device, especially if you're restoring something like a Marantz Pioneer unit and you just bought a bunch of bulk capacitors. They typically have straight little leads on them. These you would stick all the way up to the bottom, kind of crimp them. All of a sudden you got that little bin there to keep it spaced evenly off of the board. And it cuts the little end off for you so you can drop those down in evenly. So anyway, it's also got a little spacing bar here, guide on it that you can adjust. I ordered this from Hakko, HAKKO.com. And like I said, I think it was $28 shipped to my house. They seem to be very well made, and I'm very happy with them, so that I can take components that have straight leads on them, get this little crimp, and have them ready to drop down into the board. That's my tech tip for the day. All right, so about a week ago, I'm out cruising through one of these Facebook groups. By the way, I'm not the biggest Facebook fan. I don't have a ton of friends on there. At one point, I had lots of family, people I went to high school with, whatnot. I've shed all that. I pretty much made it a hobby-only thing at this point in time. But there's a lot of good groups out there where people post tips, questions, whatnot, their gear, restorations, just a lot of good stuff on there. So it's worth it for the hobby. But anyway, I see this ad posted the other day for this, and I'm like, double-blind ABX test proves all power chords have an effect on audio. And I'm sitting here, you remember my bleep bleep. You remember my video about power chords and whatnot, where I dispelled a bunch of audio stuff. And I'm like, so this was clickbait for me. I'm like, okay, I got to read this, right? So I click on it and I'm thinking, I can't believe somebody has actually posted an article that they believe they've done a double-blind listening test and that they can hear the difference in a power chord, right? Because remember, on the other side of that power chord is the Romex, Romex 10 gauge running throughout your house, which goes up out to your power lines, which the birds sit on and poop on. And then it goes out to your transformer and down the road a few miles to a substation, which then jumps on some high tension wires and goes 28 miles to some distribution system, which then goes another 40 miles to the energy station, wherever's producing your energy. And so if you think the last 6 feet are going to overcome what all's happening out there, it's a bunch of beep, 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 right? So at any rate, I see this article and I'm like, my blood's starting to go. I can't believe somebody, because I'm thinking, these guys, whoever made this post, I'm thinking they must be in the industry of selling power cords, because they made an article that helps sell more. So finally I get to reading the article, right? So I won't scroll down on it here for you, but basically it's a joke, and it is so funny, right? Then I realize it's posted on April 1st. So I get to reading it, and what it says is basically they've done a double-blind listening test. And what they found is when you use your power cord, it has a direct impact on your listening, the listening and the sound of your system. And when you don't use a power cord, it negatively affects the sound of your system. And they said they tested it on Xbox units, they tested it on headphone units, they tested it on stereo units, audio video systems. And every time when you used a power cord, you had much better sound and success than when you didn't use a power cord. And I thought, hey, these guys kind of get it, and they're poking fun of it. So I just thought it was a great article. Google this thing; it's worth reading. It's kind of comical in the process. So anyway, I fell back off my soapbox, was able to relax and go on about my day at that point in time. All right, my last soapbox topic for today. Two subjects here: subjectivity and synergy. Okay. So I've probably talked about one or both of these many times, but a refresher here. All audio is subjective, okay? And that's my opinion. But I could bring three people to my house, put them in my listening room, set it all up, let them listen to some music, and one person's going to say, I absolutely love that, Mark. Best thing I've ever heard in my life. Second person's going to go, sounds pretty good, but not the best thing I've ever heard in my life. Third person's going to go, it's a little too in my face, a little too much horn. I like a little more bass. I don't really like that setup. And so it really comes down to the individual's personal preference. It's no different than, my favorite color is orange, somebody else's is yellow. Well, you can debate all day long whether orange or yellow is the best color on this earth, and probably neither one of them are, but you could have that debate all day long. The same with sound systems, okay? So people spend a fortune trying to get the best sound system possible, right? Well, that might be just for them. They may have tried 12 different sets of speakers. They may have gone through a dozen different amps. They may have tried a bunch of different preamps, whatever. And they finally found the system that's perfect for them. And then I go visit them at their house and I'm like, I think I like the sound of mine better. And that's because I've spent a lot of time tweaking my system for my personal liking. So one piece of advice I would give you is tweak your system for your liking. Don't worry about your friends. Don't worry about anyone else. Make yourself happy at the end of the day. All right, second topic of the day, and that is synergy. Okay, I'm a firm believer that certain components, when put together, sound the whole sounds better than the individual components, if that makes sense. In other words, this amplifier with this preamp, with this set of speakers, sounds amazing. But then, hey, I took that amp over to a buddy of mine's house and I hooked it up to his speakers and his preamp, and it didn't sound all that great. And so sometimes there's magic in the synergy of systems coming together. You could get down to it at a technical level. It could be about impedance matching. Could be a lot of things that are playing into why that is the case. But don't ever give up on a piece of equipment just because in the moment it doesn't sound amazing to you. You might try that same piece of equipment with a different set of speakers, maybe something different driving it, and all of a sudden it opens up and becomes one of your favorite pieces of equipment ever. So a lot of what I see in people putting systems together, it's about, you might want to call it the art side of this hobby, but it's about mixing things together till you find what just kind of goes well together and sounds really good. So don't give up on a piece of gear, like I said, and keep trying combinations till you find that magic that sounds really, really good to you. You know, there's a saying out there that if you measure everything about your amplifier, right, and your amplifier sounds horrible, then your readings are wrong. Or if you measure everything about your amp and your readings show horrible, but yet the amp sounds amazing, then your readings are probably wrong or something along those lines. But the bottom line is you can run all the spectrum analysis you want, frequency sweeps. You can run distortion analysis all day long. And all that does is tries to give you a general feeling for how this piece of equipment should perform. Doesn't mean it's going to be the best sounding thing you've ever heard. I've heard amplifiers with 2 and 3% distortion that sounded better than some super high precision with 0.009% distortion or something like that. There again, some of it's about synergy, some of it's just about what ends up sounding good to you at the end of the day. So I'll leave you with that food for thought, and it may make you go back in your closet and dig out some piece of equipment you haven't tried in a while and hook it up and try it with some other different equipment, and you might find something magical there. Don't give up on something just because the first time you try it, you don't think it's as good as what was sitting there before that. All right, we're going to call it a wraps, and thanks for listening, everybody. We'll get back at it. Got some cool things in the works here for you guys. Stay tuned.